Welcome, dear guest, to Odd Tonic's 12 Days of Christmas Ghost Stories. In Victorian England, Christmas was the time to gather around the warm fireplace to share chilling tales of ghostly visitations. Odd Tonic is reclaiming this tradition by presenting ghost stories on every one of the 12 days of Christmas. They make for great personal listening or to share with friends and family as an icebreaker to tell true, unexplained tales of their own.
Welcome to Day 10. Tonight's story comes to us from Brad Steiger's book, Real Ghosts, Restless Spirits, and Haunted Places. In 1990, shortly after Deb, her 3-year-old daughter, and I moved into our apartment, strange things began to happen. There seemed to be something else in the place with us. All these years later, I'm still asking myself what it was. Within the first week of moving in, I was awakened around 5 o'clock in the morning by what sounded, for all the world, like a small child barking like a dog. I sat up in bed. Debbie woke a few seconds later and listened to the sounds with me. It came from the hallway, so we assumed that her daughter had gotten up in the wee hours and was pretending to be a puppy. Not all that unusual for a 3-year-old. I got up to put her back to bed, but as I opened the bedroom door, the sound moved down the hallway and into the living room. I followed, and it kept moving and barking at a distance of what I'd estimate to be about 6 feet in front of me. As I got into the living room, the barking moved on to the next room, the kitchen. I stood in the living room and tried to figure out what was happening. The lights from outside the building were spilling into the room, and it slowly occurred to me that if the baby had been playing, I surely would have seen her cross the room between the hall and the kitchen. I listened to the puppy bark in the next room, and a chill went down my spine. I now had no idea what I was dealing with. The barking faded within the next moment, and I backed down the hall, ducking into the little girl's room, and of course, found her sound asleep. I roused her and I asked her if she had been pretending to be a puppy. "No," came the expected groggy response. I carried her back to our room and put her in bed between us. I stayed awake until it was time to get up for work, making certain that puppy didn't return, but debating what I would do if it did. We never heard it again. A few months later, I was up in the middle of the night using the bathroom. I was in total darkness, no windows in the room, no light, just darkness. Suddenly, from the area to my left, which would have been the bathtub, I heard something sharp and loud enough to make me jump. It was a voice very clearly shouting, "Bellyache!" The voice was that of a child, but there was something rough, almost gruff about it, as if the child in question was trying to do a voice. Of course, I flipped on the light. Nothing. Not that I was totally surprised. Less dramatic incidents became frequent enough so that Deb and I began to half joke about the apartment being haunted. Deb said that she had often seen the figure of a child moving up and down the hall past our bedroom door during the night. I remember her describing a little boy enveloped in a soft blue glow. She also admitted this could have been a series of waking dreams. The last thing that I'll relate happened shortly before we moved out. Again, it was late at night. Our kitchen faucet leaked and dripped fairly noisily on occasion. I was lying in bed, listening to the drip. It had developed a steady rhythm, as drips will. Suddenly, the rhythm changed. The drip sound itself changed in pitch, and the thing actually played a tune. Now, I could write this off as a dream, but at that point, after a few bars, Debbie had groaned in disbelief next to me and asked, "Was that Funeral March of the Marionettes? Yeah, I answered, nodding in the dark. That's what I heard. We both sighed deeply and held each other close the rest of the night. While none of these incidents may fall under the classification of terrifying, they were certainly disturbing. I was glad when we moved when we did. Whatever was in that apartment seemed to have a consciousness. It seemed aware of us.
Has anything like this ever happened to you? Everyone, it seems, has a story. If you're listening as a group, share it now. Or send it to Odd Tonic. We'd love to hear it. You can reach us at the parlor at oddtonicsociety.com. Until then, join us again tomorrow for another thrilling true tale on Odd Tonic's 12 Days of Christmas Ghost Stories. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast app or on YouTube for future Odd Tonic episodes of weird history, strange science, and the paranormal. Good night.